The first weekend of March Madness is done. Plenty of wild outcomes. And now we have to dissect who are the best remaining teams. Sean, let's deliver 2 teams that we are the most impressed with, that we feel have the strongest shot of meeting in the national championship. I'll start us off with a team that we have a similar pick for. I really think this Duke squad is fully ready to go downhill and barrel its way through its upcoming opponents. Now, I know St. John's put together that great finish against Kansas. They also gave up a lead against that Kansas team. I know everyone's going to sit here and go, "Oh, Duke played like crap against Siena." No. We're all smart enough. We're all adult enough, Sean, to understand how this works. You show up against Siena. Your team's a little banged up. You won the ACC championship game. It's an emotional dump, and you're thinking, it's Siena. What are they going to do? They played 30% of their best game, and they were able to just pick up a little bit. Like they were like speed walking alongside Siena the whole time. They picked up a little speed and kind of ran a little bit, and then they ran past them and ended up finishing the race. This Duke squad is unbelievably good defensively. The TCU performance reminded us of what they're like. Patrick Gongba coming back into the lineup and them slowly getting healthier, I think, is the most important piece for this, with a week to rest and to get ready to go for their next game. I'm all in on Duke. It might be the chalk pick, but I don't know how anyone could pick against Shire, Boozer, and that whole squad.
It feels like just cracking a cyanide pill in one of your teeth and accepting the slow death that it'll provide. I guess maybe it's a quick death. I don't know enough about cyanide. I know how it feels to talk positively about Duke, and I would assume it's pretty similar. I watched Duke, and the first half I say, man, the other team's pacing pretty good. TCU's pacing pretty good. And then it's like they get taller and stronger and faster in the second half, even though it's just the other team losing steam and not being as conditioned or athletic or naturally gifted. And why is that? Oh, well, because the more athletic and the taller and the stronger and the more naturally gifted go to Duke and they play basketball there, a la Cameron Boozer, who might have like 14-foot arms. Every time I see a rebound go up and Duke is coming down with it, it looks like he's grabbing it from on top of the backboard. That's what it looks like to me. And his efficiency is off the charts. He had 19, 7 for 10 for field goals, 11 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block versus TCU. That's a do-it-all guy, and he doesn't need to be a do-it-all guy. He's a top 3 pick guy. He can just sit there and score. He can say, I'm bigger and stronger and faster than you, and just go right up through and get and one after and one. But he does it all, and everybody on this Duke team does it all. Isaiah Evans is a stud. You know what? I'm not maybe effusive with my positivity right now about them because I lost money betting on TCU.
Well, that was a mistake. But why would you do that?
When learning, you learn more about a team, I believe, watching them crush a bet. And that's what I saw Duke did, because you analyze it. You're like, why am I losing money right now? How is it possible? And you got to do a deep dive internally and externally. And watching Duke, they're just better. And that is so frustrating to say, but they are. There's no quit. They just keep at the same pace, and they know the other team is going to wear out first. Duke goes to the finals. Duke does, yeah.
Duke is plus 430 right now for odds. They have the... no, they don't have the best odds, surprisingly, which is quite interesting. The best odds right now is Michigan and Arizona at plus 340. But besides the point, you mentioned Boozer's rebounding. Malik Brown, I pointed this out to you when we were sitting and watching this game. He is one of the funniest players to watch because the whole time TCU was boxing Malik Brown out and had zero reason to get the rebound. And it was like watching extendo arms go and just rip the ball out of there. And like, nope, that one's mine. That one's mine. It's like watching somebody stand and pick apples, but not having to use a ladder while a bunch of idiots are jumping and trying to grasp onto the apples. He's just stealing all of them. That's like what's watching him rebound.
As a former 5 who couldn't jump and was often in the defensive box out position, I know what it feels like to look up and say, is that over the back? Oh no, how did he get that high? How am I still this low? Oh no, my short arms. It's got to be a bad feeling going up against these guys. And who do they have next? St. John's?
St. John's.
That is going to be a freaking boxing match the entire time because St. John's plays with their hair on fire. They might be the most effort-filled team. What happens if they burn? I know it's not just we're doing finals predictions and all that.
Yeah.
but I still think Duke clears.
Well, here's the thing. Duke is number 5 in opponent shooting percentage. And I watched St. John's and Kansas brick a comical amount of shots. There was the one stat that was put out there that in back-to-back games for the first time since like January 10th, St. John's has hit more than 10 3-pointers. And somebody pointed out, well, it helps when you take 30 attempts. And
Yeah.
I think it was 30. I forget what the total attempts that they had on there. But I don't think that St. John's, their shooting efficiency is going to match up very well with Duke. And that is why I have a lot of confidence that Duke moves on and they're going to continue to move on. Who is your second team or your second team? You like?
You already mentioned them, and they have the best odds because they're in the most cupcake freaking walk into the park schedule into the finals, and that's the Michigan Wolverines, who I've turned completely. I've flip-flopped a couple times on them this year. Obviously, everyone knows how surgical they were at the beginning of the year. They took a lull. They came back. They took another lull. Now it looks like they're back. And I know it's the St. Louis Billikens that they just pounded up on, but that's some A10 might. And I'm going to stand up for the A10. That's a tough, scrappy A10. That's about as much as I can say right there. Michigan they appeared to be getting back to some of that nice, classic Michigan machinery, some of the well-engineered basketball that just makes you want to rip your hair out if you're betting against them. Shocker, I did that also. And they decided to pound me, and I got freaking pounded by Michigan, and I felt terrible the whole time because of what they did. They shot the 3 ball well. They got board after board after board, and they never looked flustered. St. Louis had it close with them. And Michigan's not a team that hasn't been pushed at all, and they're going to continue to get pushed, but I don't see the frustration ever building at Michigan. I don't see Dusty May walking around with a sweat on his brow like the 2 clowns that I'm seeing between Mick Cronin and Hurley, who are sweat-covered before warm-ups, before they even show up to the building. I like just the way how the bracket shaped out. I'm sure there's other teams. Like, I love this Arizona team. People know I love the Arizona team. Purdue, I guess, got hot. And I know people have a soft spot for Purdue. But Michigan, just for their path and their path alone, it looks pretty favorable right now for them to just, if I'm strictly betting, then I'm going with Michigan.
Well, to poop on your parade, which I love to do.
Gross phrase.
I'm taking a team that's on their portion of the bracket. I'm going with Iowa State at plus 1,700.
Sure,
dude. I watched that. I have been an appreciator of Iowa State for most of the year, but I watched the Kentucky game, and that was the buy-in for me. It was comical watching Kentucky try to keep up with them. And the big reason why is because Iowa State is just so surgical when it comes to forcing turnovers. They are just piecing Kentucky the whole game, just picking off passes, knocking the ball away. Kentucky had their pants down the entire time at their ankles, and they're just trying to get up. They're just waddling. They're like, what's going on? They got pantsed.
You're not
the first 5 seconds of that game. It was a little close, and then eventually Iowa State just kept forcing turnover after turnover. The big thing for me that I always emphasize, and I got away from for quite a bit with some of my basketball bets during March Madness, and I'm regretting that I did this. The big core tenets are rebounding, they are forcing turnovers, and it is shooting from the line. Those are the core tenets. Iowa State is successful at all those things. They're 15th in assists per game in the country. They're 10th in steals per game. They rip the ball away. They protect the ball on their own. They make the right pass. They're just one of these pick you apart natural teams that plays super fundamentally sound. It's not sexy. And that's why I think Iowa State, which albeit some of these other teams remaining, they're going to have to face off with Michigan most likely. Mm-hmm. Good team, fundamentally sound. But if there's a team that unexpectedly gets there and we're sitting here saying, how did Iowa State make it? It's because they're just so damn efficient in everything that they do.
They forced 20 turnovers versus Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, man.
20 turnovers versus Kentucky.
So
every time I looked up, they were netting a 3 too.
They did that without one of their best players. Joshua Jefferson was out with a sprained ankle, and apparently they're expecting and hoping that he'll be back for the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I saw 40 noted that they were shorthanded and still doing them boys like that. That's nuts. I'm looking at the bottom box score here. Yeah, why not? Just 46 from the field, 9 threes. Kentucky only hit 9 threes. You match the other team for threes. It just made, and you get them to turn over more. You're in a good spot. Offensive rebounding, I love. That's what I build a lot of my brackets off of, is who just gets more offensive boards. Iowa State
Tactile, man.
Iowa State did.
Mark Pope looks stupid in extra ball. All right, everybody.
You think he lost more of less hair during
He
this
just looked
game?
extra shiny.
Yeah.
He looked really stupid and lost in the post game. All right, everybody, do us a favor. Comment below who you think is going to reach the national championship. Hit the like button and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.